Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Arcane Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, and I am your host, DM Gallibond. And today we're going to be talking about a spell that has a rich and long history in the annals and editions of D&D. That is called Bigby's Hand. And let's go ahead and get started by looking at the way the spell works here in 5th edition. Alright, in 5th edition, Bigby's Hand is a 5th level spell, and it takes an action to cast, range of 120 feet, uh, has the verbal, somatic, and material components, and the material components for this one I always like is it's an eggshell and a snakeskin glove. So now the glove, I guess, makes sense with the hand. The eggshell, I never have quite figured out why you need an eggshell with this, but that's something that's been around for a while. And in 5th edition, this single spell has multiple effects. And that's a difference from older editions, as we will get to in a little bit. So you produce this hand, which is a large spectral hand, shimmering translucent force, uh, armor class of 20, hit points equal to the caster's hit point maximum, and it has a strength of 26, which means it has a very strong grip or very strong force when it's used for punching things or bashing things, and a dexterity of 10. So you can cause this hand to do one of four things. You can cause it to be a clenched fist, which will strike a creature or object within 5 feet, and on a hit, the target takes 4d8 force damage. A forceful hand can be used to push a creature within 5 feet in any direction that the caster chooses. A grasping hand can attempt to hold a target in place, and then if it successfully grapples, you can use an additional action to try to crush the grappled target. And the interposing hand simply blocks a creature from getting to the caster. So it's just there and it's able to move and try to block something from getting at the caster. And then the caster has the option to cast it at higher levels, and when they do so, it just adds additional damage to the anything that the hand strikes or anything that it crushes. So that's what happens here in 5th edition. Now, if we go back all the way back to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or AD&D 1st edition as they called it, there were several different types of Bigby's hand spells, and they ranged from level 5, I think, all the way up to 5, 6, 7. I think they were all the way up to level 8 or 9. So you had Bigby's interposing hand was the earliest of the spells that you would get, and that's at level 5. And basically, it would do that whole interposing thing. And it just forms itself between the caster and something that the caster wants to block. And it then remains between the two, regardless of what the spellcaster does subsequently or how the opponent tries to get around it. And the size of the hand is determined by the magic user. Can be anything from human-sized all the way up to Titan-sized. And then any creature weighing less than 2,000 pounds trying to push past it will be slowed to 1/2 normal movement. And the material component of this spell is a glove. All right, so then if we look at the other Bigby spells, Bigby's, The other Bigby spells, you have at 6th level Bigby's Forceful Hand. Then uh, at 7th level, you have 7th level you have Bigby's Grasping Hand. At 8th level, you have Bigby's Clenched Fist, which does that crushing. Which does that punching. And then you have the crushing at level 9, Bigby's Crushing Hand. And so now level 5, you have the Interposing Hand. And then, let's see, Bigby's Forceful Hand comes in at level 6. Now this is a more powerful version. It exerts a force in addition to interposing itself, and the force is sufficient to push a creature away from the spellcaster. The creature weighs 500 pounds or less. Push to slow movement to 1. They use this thing interchangeably. Indoors, that 1 inch would equal 10 feet. Outdoors, that would equal 10 yards. If the creature weighs between 500 and 2,000 pounds, and to slow movement by half if the creature weighs up to 8,000 pounds. And again, the material component is a glove. So then, let's see. 7th level, you have Bigby's Grasping Hand. And a superior version of the 6th level Forceful Hand. The Grasping Hand can actually hold motionless a creature or object up to 1,000 pounds weight, or move creatures as a double strength Forceful Hand. The material component is now a leather glove. And then 7th, and then at level 8, it's a Clenched Fist. Brings forth a huge disembodied hand, which is balled into a fist. Under the mental control of the spellcaster, he can cause to strike an opponent each round. And then the clenched fist never misses, but the effectiveness of the blow varies from round to round. So you roll a d20, and if it's a 1 through 12, it scores a glancing blow, only 1d6. 13 through 16, it's a solid punch, 2d6. 17 through 19 is a hard punch, 3 to 18 hit points, and the opponent is stunned. And then for 1 round, and then on a 20, crushing blow, 4d6, and the opponent is stunned for the next 3 rounds. And then as a note, any stunned opponent allows the magic user to add +4 to his or her die roll to determine how well the fist strikes, as the opponent is not capable of dodging or defending against the attack. And then, that is that's the clench fist at level 8. Then at level 9, we have the Bigby's Crushing Hand. And you also, one of the things that you may notice is that in AD&D, the casting time is listed in segments, and that is a segment equates to a second, because in AD&D, rounds used to be 10 seconds. By 5th edition, those of you who play 5th edition, you probably know that rounds now are 6 seconds, because somewhere along the way they said the math just works out better if you can have 10 rounds for every minute. It used to be that the math was based more on the round, so you would have 6 rounds per minute and 10 seconds to every round. And then a spell that has a casting time of 9 segments, well, that means that it takes 9/10 of a round to cast. And there was all this other complicated stuff, like in initiative, whoever had initiative, you would then, well, you might be able to start your spell in this round, but then it actually doesn't go off until next round. So you'd have to track when your initiative started, how many segments it took to cast your spell, and then when your spell actually went off. And it was just, that was way too complicated, in my opinion. They made it way more complicated than it needed to be. So, Bigby's crushing hand causes the appearance of a huge disembodied hand, similar to the forceful hand or clenched fist, and then it can grasp and squeeze an opponent, and damage depends on the number of rounds it acts upon the victim. And the first round, it's 1d10 hit points. Second and third round, it exerts 2d10 hit points of damage. And if it still stays squeezing the fourth round and beyond, it's 4d10 hit points every round. So these they were very powerful spells, and as you see, each individual effect of the spell had its own unique spell, and each one came at a different level. Now we're not going to go through the same, um, you know, in-depth explanation for every version of D&D, but I wanted to show that in second edition and then again in third edition, you also have the same thing where you have each effect is its own spell. And so you have Bigby's Clenched Fist in third edition is an 8th level spell. Um, now, the interesting thing about the player's handbooks is that they went from, um, in the first couple of handbooks, they would do by level all the spells in alphabetical order. And then in third edition, when they started saying each spell can be used by multiple classes, they went to just having all the spells in alphabetical order. And then when you got to the spell listing, it would tell you what what level and what classes the spell was. So we have the Bigby's Clenched Fist. We have the Bigby's Crushing Hand. Um, we have the Forceful Hand. We have the Grasping Hand. And then finally we have the Interposing Hand. And again, as you can see, it's level 5, level 6, level 7, level 8, and level 9. And then the other interesting thing about it is if you have Bigby's Crushing Hand at level 9, you can use it to mimic the effects of the other spells. So what they've done in 5th edition is instead of taking 5 different spells and having an effect keyed to each one, they have simply one spell and several different effects keyed to it. And then if you cast it at a higher level, you just get to do more damage with it. So that's the way they have approached the spell in 5th edition now. All right, so that is going to do it for our review and our discussion of the Bigby's Hand spell. If you like what we are doing here on the channel, please hit subscribe down below and ring the bell. That way you will know every time we put a new channel or a new video up on the channel. And let us know. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts on spells that we talk about. Any memories that you have of the first time you used that spell or the first time you saw that spell used in a game. Um, if you have any questions about how a spell might be used, throw that out, and I would be glad to go over that in a future video. All right, well, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow, where we will be doing Divine Thursday. And remember, we put up on this YouTube channel, we have content every day. New video, short form about some different aspect of D&D, and then 3 times a week over on my Twitch channel, which you will find the information down in the description of this video. I do a live stream, either hosting an actual play game or discussing a monster for D&D on Monster Monday. All right, everybody, take care and have a wonderful evening. Good night, everyone.